Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I'm your host Utkarsh Shukla and let me introduce you to my guest Bahman. Bahman, thank you so much for joining in.
Appreciate it, man. It's my pleasure. I've been following your journey and watching your podcast on YouTube. And just like I said, when we had the chance to talk together for a second, I really admire what you're doing. I know how much work there goes into a podcast, and it's awesome. And I'm just excited to see where you go from here.
Thank you so much Bahman for your kind words. It's really appreciating for me and it's really motivating to hear such kind of words from you. So thank you so much for that. So let's begin with our question. So please introduce yourself, anything you want to talk about you or anything you want the world to know about you.
Of course. Yeah, that question can get pretty deep if you want to, right? But I feel like I'm getting closer to who I am the last couple of years in my life. I'm really a guy that's obsessed about leadership in every shape of the word. In my early years, my family moved to Holland. We were refugees from Iran, and my family fell apart pretty quickly when I was young. And I had to embrace the fact that I was a very young leader of myself and of my household with my mother and my sister. And from a pretty young age, I had to develop myself and become an adult in a time where I wasn't ready for being an adult. And also, when I landed in my first job as a counselor, my mentor left, my coworker left, and I was just there counseling 50, 60 kids on my own with no experience whatsoever. So every part of my journey has been around leadership. How do you lead yourself? How do you lead other people? And I think a lot of those things were hard skills, learning how to be a good leader from the professional aspect of it. But lately, I've been much more diving into what are those intangible things of leadership? What are the soft skills, the things that you don't see? Because I think that's really what differentiates an exceptional leader from a great leader. The things that it's very hard to measure, to observe, but it's there. We all feel it. When you engage with a great leader, you know it's a great leader. But sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it. And that's really what birthed my latest startup, Adenium, is that journey to trying to turn leadership into a repeatable science and making it accessible to everybody who is trying to become a leader, whether it's of themselves or in their business.
That's pretty awesome. I think so. What you have learned from your experience now, you are trying to follow the same in your profession, right? So, if you can just enlighten us, like how you keep yourself motivated, because most of it, as you mentioned, like once you are a refugee and your family fell apart at the very beginning, and then again you started your job where again the same thing, same kind of a thing happened to you. So, what was that one thing that keep you motivated? Because most of the people, if we see our family falling apart, or even at our job as well, if we are not doing good at it, we generally have a setback in our life, right? So I just wanted to know how you keep yourself at a point where you know, like, hey, I can do it, or it's not over until it's over. So what was that point for you?
I love that question. I love that. It's been really difficult, to be honest, in many phases of my career. And success didn't change the difficulty. It's always been difficult, whether I had a startup or no startup, or job or no job, or money or no money. It always had the same level of intensity and level of pressure that I felt. And I think the thing that got me through that always has been to um, trying to find sources of motivation outside of yourself and not falling into selfishness and doing things for your own selfish needs. Obviously, we all have the desire for money or status, or, acknowledgement in some shape or form. But very early on, I discovered that most of the satisfaction that I always achieved was from helping other people. And that feeling when you help somebody, that never gets old. Buying expensive clothes and having a nice apartment, that gets old. We all know that feeling, right?
Right.
But helping somebody and them saying, thank you for doing that for me, for helping me forward, that's a feeling that never gets old. And I think that's how I lifted myself up every single time out of a dark place. And when the first time in my family that situation happened, I became the caretaker of my mother. And the second time, my whole world fell apart in my first job and I almost burnt out, was also a similar situation that I felt the love and appreciation from the kids that I was counseling back in the day. So if you always find that source outside of yourself, I think that's been my biggest cheat code, to let other people do that heavy lifting for me instead of me doing it for myself. And I don't know if that's the right answer because, I let a lot of my self-worth rely on the opinion of other people. And I'm not sure if that's the best thing, but it is important for me. And my main motivation has always been, I just want people around me to be happy. And if that's the case, then I'm okay. And sometimes I lose my path and then I just remember, why am I here? To help people be happy. And that's what brings me back to reality.
I think that's a very kind of you to know that there are few people who are dependent on you, or there are people around you who can be happy with your help, right? Or or in a sense, like they can be helped by you rather than being happy. It can be like both, a combination of both. They can be happy and be helped by you. So that is the one thing that is keeping you up in your life, as you mentioned. Like even in the setbacks, also you realize that hey, there are people around me that require my help, or that can be helped by me, right? So that's a pretty interesting point. And as you have mentioned, your startup or the company that you're working for. So can you just enlighten us on the same, like what is the main motive behind it and how it is functioning?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's a very personal project for me, Adenium. Um, the Adenium is a desert flower. It grows in the desert in extremely harsh conditions. It's a metaphor for me, of self-development, where some people might look at somebody and think, how is this person still standing? And they're not only standing, they're thriving. What is happening there? It's impossible. If you look at the environment of this individual, it's impossible for them to flourish. And that's what the flower Adenium does. It grows. It doesn't only grow, it's a beautiful flower that flourishes in harsh conditions. So that's really the first main motivator that I had, to figure out what is it that certain people do in leadership positions that makes them thrive in bad conditions, not just survive, but actually do exceptional things. And me trying to figure out becoming that leader on my own, in my business, in my relationship, in my own life, brought me to that place of, I want to help people. And that was my first journey as a professional coach. And then my second journey was as a corporate management trainer. And that was something that I did with Dr. Mandy Zimmerman. And together, me and Mandy, we sat down and we said, there has to be another way to help these companies, and especially to help the leaders that are helping the people in the company, right? Because a lot of the approaches that we have in training and development, succession planning, leadership development, they lack objective and evidence-based and actionable data. And the reason for that is it's very hard to observe and to assess people's behaviors, right? Because behaviors, one, very hard to measure, very hard to predict, and extremely complex to analyze. We know this. It's like the holy grail in business. How do you measure and understand behavior? And how do you influence behavior at scale? And after talking with many different professionals, behavior scientists, neurodiversity scientists, L&D experts, HR experts, academia doing research on the topic, we came to the conclusion that the issue is mostly in observation. You need objective observation in order to get to outcomes that are relevant for the company or the leader, right? And right now, the ways that people are gathering observation is not really objective. Surveys, interviews, 360 assessments, they're very sensitive to subjectivity. The opinion of the person is leading in those answers. And you'll never truly know if that's factual or whether it fits the context or not. It's just somebody's opinion, right? And some people might be great at influencing other people's opinions, and some people might be terrible at influencing other people's opinions. But that doesn't really mean that they're a good or bad leader, right? So making it objective means you need objective measurement tools. And that's what Adenium is. Adenium is an observational tool driven by AI that can objectively, again, observe and assess behavioral patterns in leaders to understand not only their individual behavior, but understand how is your individual behavior impacting the people that you interact with. And then you get to the conclusion of, is your behavior helping your people around you to be the best version of themselves? In the end, making a better company. So that was really what drove us to build this tool, and that's where we are right now. And it's been so exciting, so complex, but so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most complex thing to understand the behavior of a person you're working with, or even to have that observation, as you mentioned, like to know those things, because you don't know if a person is able to manipulate you or even motivate you in a way or not, because like all five fingers are not same, all no two people are same, or no five people are same, right? So we can follow this philosophy here, and having a data driven, or like as you mentioned, like you guys, because you are using AI, so I hope that you guys have gone through a lot of data set and have analyzed those, and then came to this startup idea, right, where it is working right now. So as you mentioned, it told us like whether it is helping your organization or not. So does it also recommend how it can help you to become a better leader, or how it can help you in improving your organization?
Well, at the end of the day, I don't think AI should tell us anything about how we should live our lives, right? A machine has no place of having
Hmm.
an opinion on how people should live their lives or how people should behave. What it should do is understand the goals that you have, connecting it to the business goals, and giving you good insights of whether your behavioral patterns are leading to the goals that you have and the business goals that the business has. That's really the goal, right? The goal is scaling observability and scaling insights, making it faster, bigger, and more efficient. For an example, if you look at succession planning, one of the areas that we've been focusing on with our company initially, I mean, there's a lot of use cases, right? When you talk about behavior science in any organization, you can do whatever you want with behavior, right? But the one thing that we think is very interesting is succession planning. And the reason for that is succession planning is a huge problem. Over 50% of companies in the world do not have a solid succession strategy in their company. So if their CEO, CFO, or COO leaves, they're looking at a very bad situation for
Right.
their company because they have no idea who's next. So AI in that place can help you identify the behavioral traits in your current organization and find that person who could be next. And with an objective lens, not a subjective political lens, right? Not who's playing the game, but who's actually showing those behavioral traits that we are looking for. And that helps the human with the intuition and the empathy and the context, which these are not things that AI is good at right now,
Correct.
right? The human is good at that. Well, we help the human expand their scope. That's really what we think AI is exceptional at.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think to have an empathy and all those emotional intelligence kind of a things that can't be triggered using AI technology. So you need to be aware of where these things exist in a human or in an employee. That's a pretty valid point, I think. So, so
So
what's
we
the
believe, interrupt you, Utkarsh. We deeply believe in not replacing humans with AI, but making humans happier, more productive, and giving them the space to focus on the things that they do best. That's it. If AI can help you take away all the tedious tasks, increasing your lens, increasing your observation capacity, that's what we want. We want it to be a tool to help you, not to replace you.
yeah, that's correct. I think I got what you guys are trying to have from it, rather than having a specific job for that AI tool. It's going to be a helper, right? Where you can have a succession plan, as we mentioned, right? So it can be used as it is, and it can help you in knowing better, and knowing when to have a better person at a particular position, like you mentioned, like CGO, CTO, or CO, whatever, like C star of person, if they leaves, right? So I think I got the point of how you guys are trying to leverage it. It's pretty awesome, and it's pretty new also. I have also heard about it now first time, and something new. I think let's see how it goes. So what's the future plan for it?
Well, we're in talks with so many incredible partners. We have a great partnership with a professor from MSBC from Saudi. We have an incredible partnership with Optin Innovation Labs, with Aclea, the creator of Mickey Island. So many great people right now are helping us to position the software, the tool in their company to help them as much as we can. So we're exploring those partnerships, and we're very far along with great use cases, great ideas that we're getting, great feedback that we're getting, and we're very close to launching our first pilot with one of those partners. And it's such an exciting time because, at the one hand, you have to be very mindful and careful because behavior is a very sensitive topic. It requires being very ethical, being very secure, and also, being very mindful of the outcomes. And like you said, not letting the machine make any recommendations on what humans should do, right? But more so empower people that are qualified to do those recommendations, but doing it at scale. So we're very close to launching a couple of those pilots. The website has been up, and we've talked to so many different people, and the responses have been so great. So we're really grateful for that, for sure.
That's pretty awesome. So it's already launched, and you are already in a talk with many people or many clients
We're
to
very
help
close to launching it. Yeah, we're
them.
very close to launching a couple pilots with partners, and to see. I think the big question is always, how are people looking to use
Mm,
something like this?
right,
That's always very interesting when you launch a new product because you have all these assumptions and ideas of, oh, companies can do this and that,
right.
and they're gonna. Then at the end of the day, you're gonna figure out, well, why are you
Why?
doing that?
Right.
I didn't want you to do that, right? But they do, and then it's about staying close to your pilot partners, your customers, and having a very close relationship where you can together build on that and help them as much as you can.
That's awesome. So congratulations on your on your launch of your company, and hope it goes pretty well.
Absolutely. Every company that I've launched and every project that I've launched, the same with this one. It really, at the end of the day, is all a part of this lifelong journey as an entrepreneur. It's not about attaching your self-worth to one company or one startup or one customer or one contract. When you zoom in on your work so much, you can get lost in that and you feel like your whole life depends on this company or this customer or this contract. But at the end of the day, if you look back, you see that you've already grown so much, you developed so much, you did so much, you know so many people. I'm sure you do as well, that you can look back and say, I'm pretty proud of what I did, and I'm happy to see where this is going to go. But my life doesn't depend on it. And that's something that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs feel at times, especially now when the economy is doing bad. There's so much pressure when you do fundraising, when you find new customers. It's a tough time now for entrepreneurs. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody listening that, be mindful of how much you already did and how much you achieved.
I think that's a very, I think, important point as well as very valid point that you have just mentioned. You don't need to attach yourself to a particular company or a particular product for a longer duration of a time, because then you might miss the long term scene where you can you can be at a position where you can help this world in a more better way or a more different way, rather than sticking to one thing and going too much deep on it. You can also try to indulge in a different things and try to see how you can be helpful to this world in a different ways. I think that's how an entrepreneur works. You don't indulge in just one product, or you don't give all of your time to one thing, right? And you are just too much indulging into it. And so you need to explore yourself as well as the people around you, like what are the things that's going on and how it can be formed in a better way, rather than just sticking to a particular thing or a particular solution that you have already created, right? So I think that's the main highlight till now from this interview that I can get from you. That's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. And, especially when, we're going into this day and age of AI, and I just shared a video on LinkedIn as well about um, people overestimate how fast AI is going to change the world. It's going to take time for
Right,
it to really ramp up and scale up, just like the internet, right? It took the internet a good 10 to 15 years to
right,
really transform the whole world. But once it does, I think people underestimate how much it will change and how big that transformation will be. I think we're in the forefront of one of the biggest transformations in human history, maybe the biggest ever, right? And when that is happening, you get that tense feeling of, I gotta be there. I have to be there. I have to be involved. I can't let this opportunity go.
right.
But as you see with every big transformation, it's not always the companies that were first. It's the companies who do it best. And it's mostly the companies who are able to attract the right talent and the right leaders to help them build something unique, right? And that's, I think, the big story of Adenium is it's your people at the end of the day. It's really down to your people. Whether it's Apple, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, none of them were first, but they were the best, and they are the best because of the quality of people that they're able to retain over time and the leadership that they have. And how great would it be if we would turn that into a repeatable science? If every company in the world could benefit from what are the behaviors of these exceptional people and how can we implement that in our development in our company, right? That would be like open sourcing leadership behavior. That's a dream, right?
I think you are again mentioning one after one pretty important points that everyone should learn now from this convo. I can get like you are not required to be the first one, but you are required to be the best one, not even the best, then the good one, right? So it is not important that you need to have that head start, but it is important to for you to have a good start, or even say the best start in a way like you have to maintain that leadership in your team or in your organization, or even if you are an individual as well, right? So you need to know the thing that you are working on. You need to make sure that the culture you are working on, and you need to make sure that you are working with the right kind of a people, or you are surrounded with the right kind of a people. That's how you are going to land up as a good or the best product. As you have given the example of Apple and Microsoft, I think they are, as you mentioned, they are not the first one, but they are the best one, and right now they are leading the market as well. So that's how I think uh, the corporate life, or I can say the world works, right? You need to be the best or the good rather than being the first one, like launching a product or launching something in a hurry. Uh, you need to focus more on what you are trying to deliver rather than how fast you are trying to deliver, right? So that's pretty
Absolutely.
point, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, another great example of this is that you see these big tech companies are waking up from the
Mm,
reality of if a person worked at the big five consulting companies or the
mm,
big tech companies,
mm.
that doesn't always guarantee that they're going to recreate that same success for you in your company
Right,
or your startup. Right? You can hire a Google executive. That doesn't mean your company is going to become like Google. And the reason for that is not just that it's very hard to recreate success in your career twice, right? It doesn't happen that often. But it's also because you're only hiring an individual. You're not hiring an environment. You're not hiring the infrastructure. You're not hiring the development and the training that they have. You're
right,
not hiring anything around that individual, just the individual. And that's why it's so important to really objectively assess and measure what are these companies doing that's so unique and so special, and how can we always recreate that and create a healthy competitive landscape everywhere, right? And very often people get lost in that. And I'm happy to see trends are shifting and companies are
right,
understanding, especially startups that are understanding, I'm not going to hire this guy from McKinsey
right,
because,
right.
maybe hire this young guy from Pakistan or India and he's smart and he's motivated and he's going to kill it. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's about what kind of environment can you provide, because that's a huge part of what creates a person, also in a positive and a negative way. Right. For me, when I was growing up, who would have known what I would have become if I was regular kid with a regular life.
Mm,
Well, now I'm here because of all the hardship that I endured, but I don't know if I can recreate that with my son or daughter.
right.
Probably not, right? So I would have to accept whatever they become in whatever environment that I give them and I hope they do well. That's all you can do, really.
It's pretty awesome, man. And I think you have explained all those things in a very simple terms and pretty easy example so that everyone can understand. So I think I'm done with my question. So thank you so much, Bevan. It was really a pretty insightful session for me, and I enjoyed each and every answer that you've given me, from introducing yourself to explaining how your company is working, and then giving me example of real lives, how we need to perform in our life and even in our careers to grow and to see this world in a better way, right? And how it can be a more how it can be a more I think a more kinder place and a more innovative place, right? And rather than having you in a particular culture or in a particular company, just make sure to see what's all around and how you can help yourself with the different things. So that's pretty awesome. So thank you so much, Bahman, for your time and insights. Really a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm super excited to see where your journey is going to take you. And I hope you don't forget about me when you hit the big time, man, and I can come back someday.
Sure. Thank you so much, Bahman.